Peace. What's the word? What's happening, everybody? Give everybody a chance to tap in with the kid before we start building on the subject matter for the day. Hopefully, y'all having a powerful Wednesday. Staying peaceful, healthy, powerful, black, all that good stuff, man. I'm gonna give y'all about 3 to 5 minutes to tap in with the kid before we start diving into this subject matter, man. Y'all see what it is, man. We talking about the OGs, misguiding the youth, and I feel like this is a perpetual cycle, and it's the reason behind a lot of the problems that we face as a community. I'm gonna build on that though. Ronaldo, peace. What's happening? What's the word? Terenzo, my brother, peace. What's happening? How y'all living? How y'all feeling on this wonderful Wednesday? You, Magic, peace. What's happening? I feel like as OGs, man, we got to do better, man. I'm an OG to somebody, so I feel like I can classify myself as an OG. I got plenty of young bulls that look up to me, that pay attention to my ways and actions, even though I'm fairly young myself, and I got people that's older than me that's OG, you know what I'm saying? So I could classify myself as an OG. I feel as though that's right and exact. Moni Peace, what's happening? What's the word? But I feel like we got to do a much better job. Most of the time, we just want to criticize those underneath us. And that's all I see most of the time. It's just criticism, constant criticism, constant criticism. Kurt, peace, what's happening? It's either constant criticism or we just trying to tell people what to do. That's not how that's just not how that's gonna work. We all been there before. We all was 15, 16, 17. For the most part, you wasn't just gonna be telling us what to do. Everybody want to act like they was righteous at those ages. I know when I was 15 and 16, man, I was rebellious, fam. I didn't listen to a lot of what my own parents told me. You know what I'm saying? So we got to stop acting like we was a certain type of way when we was 15 and 16, because every generation has said the same thing about the younger generation underneath them. They don't listen. They rebellious. I don't understand them. This, that, and the third. So every older generation had the same type of criticism. And we try to separate ourselves from the younger generation. Like they not a reflection of us. Like, let's be real. Peace, what's happening? So again, man, we gotta really understand the dynamics of what's happening here. We try to disconnect and separate ourselves from the youth when at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, they are emulating our ways and actions. They are a reflection of us, of what we do, of what we don't do, of what we are instilling in them, of what we are showing and proving. Forget instilling in them, what we are showing and proving through our actions. Because these kids pay attention to actions. What are you doing? Are you telling me? They pay attention. They see the hypocrisy. They see the contradiction. So that's why you could be telling them what's right and exact, but if you're not doing what's right and exact, they gonna do the total opposite of what you telling them, because they paying attention to what you're doing. And unfortunately, a lot of the brothers and sisters that have decent messages be the main ones that do not live according to what it is that they teach it. And that's a problem. Tony, peace, what's happening? Ronaldo, my brother, peace, appreciate that donation. So we gotta do a better job of that. If you teaching one thing, you gotta make sure you living it out. And that's why I always go for more of the people that lead by example. We gotta lead by example. We got enough of the vocal leaders out here. We got enough of that. We got enough of the people that's hooping and hollering, doing all of that, man. We gotta be more hands-on with it. Gotta be more hands-on with it. Uncle Stu, peace. What's happening? So again, we gotta stop disconnecting ourselves from these young bulls, man, and we gotta start the art of listening, fam. Like, I feel like this is like a top 3 problem. TZ, peace. What's happening? We know the relationship, we know the black family dynamic was destroyed, but I feel like, man, the OG, the older generation versus the younger generation, as written in the Willie Lynch letter and whatnot, I feel like that's a real major problem. The youth and the elders, that disconnect is terrible. And that contributes to our lack of unity. We can never connect to the young boys. The young boys can never connect to us because they feel like we not listening. And for the most part, OGs, we don't be listening. We don't be listening to the youth, for real. Hey, William, my brother, peace. What's happening? You know, let's be honest, man. I didn't, and I've told my story plenty of times. I done been that young bull. That was one of my main problems as a youth. I felt like folks wasn't listening to me. How you gonna solve a problem with a person or with a group of people and you not listening to what it is that they are saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, that don't even make any sense, man. If somebody is coming to me and they have a problem that I'm trying to help them solve, but I don't allow them to express what the problem actually is, how can I solve the problem? First of all, how can I even identify the problem if I won't let them tell me what the problem is? And a lot of times that's what it is, man. Like, we take things on face value. You know, we go to everybody but the source when it comes to the younger generation. Man, talk to these young bulls. I'm telling you, talk to these young bulls. I don't care what preconceived notions you already have. Just talk to them. Talk to them. You're going to learn a lot. Just like I said, I never forget in a relationship dynamic. I never forget one time I simply told black men, black women to listen to one another. Man, people, they act like I told them to go jump off of a cliff simply because I told black men to go listen to black women and black women to listen to black men. Man, this solves a lot of problems. This is how you get to the understanding. This is how you get to the understanding. You gotta listen. You gotta listen, fam. So when it comes to the youth and that, we gotta, man, listen to the young bulls, man. Listen. They gonna tell you what the problems are. They gonna tell you about their era. See, we gotta understand different eras, man. I used to clash with my pops all the time. And one of the main reasons why I would clash with my pops is because he would be trying to speak in terms of back when I was young. He would be trying to make it seem like things were still the same like it was back in his day. And I used to tell him, I'm like, Pops, that might have been cool 20 years ago, but I'm like, today is a different day and age. So what would have been right and exact 20 years ago, 15 years ago, is not right and exact now. And I used to get into it with him all the time because he used to do that. And I'm like, dude, this is a whole different era, whole different generation. Things are not the same. Things have evolved. Things have transformed. Rules are different. Outlooks are different. The way we live in is completely different than the way you were living when you were my age. So you cannot talk to me as if things are exactly the same. So I used to tell him that, but again, that led to back and forth. That led to clashing. So I'm like, dude, if you really want to tap into giving me the best advice possible, you got to listen to what I'm saying in regards to my era and my generation and how we are moving. You can't give advice from the standpoint of this is how we did it when I was young. No, that might have been cool. What y'all did at that time might have been cool, but we ain't living in that same time. So when I'm talking to young boys, that's how I speak to them. I'm listening. In order for me to give any type of advice, I got to gain an understanding of how this generation is living. They not living the same way that they were living back in the late 90s, early 2000s when I was young and growing up. Completely different generation. Completely different generation. You know, so I gotta listen, I gotta understand. That's why sometimes I try to tap into their music, you know, and every time I train a young bull, man, I ask him about, you know, hey, what's intriguing about this song? What's intriguing about this artist and things like that. I try to tap into their mindset. You know, so the more I tap into their mindset, the more I gain an understanding of why they do things that they do. Like, for real. But man, being young back in the day, man, I used to get, man, constant criticism from the OGs, some of the OGs that we looked up to, and they were, instead of them striving to gain an understanding, they just bashing us, just bashing us or telling us what we need to do and tell us why we not gonna be this, that, and the third, why we ain't gonna amount to anything, stuff like that, man. Like, I was told that. I was one of the ones that was told you ain't gonna amount to anything if you don't stop doing X, Y, and Z. Uncle Stu, peace. Appreciate you for sure. Phil Rory, peace. What's happening? Ronell, peace. You say you told myself the same thing about my daughter. Hey man, for sure. And that's what, man, I'm telling you. And it starts with us. It starts at home. You know, so I really try to, every time I'm dealing and chopping it up with the youth, like I'm real mindful of how that conversation is gonna go. Because I know how I was, man. I listen, you not telling people what to do just ain't gonna work. That never works. Especially with the young folk. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a universal thing. When we young, we not trying, you're not gonna be just telling us what to do. You know, you're not gonna just tell a 17-year-old what to do, what not to do. Like you're not gonna do that, man. You know, so it's a certain way that you gotta learn how to communicate with these folks, man. And every generation is different. Every generation, you gotta learn to communicate with them in a, you know, differently. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta learn the art of communication when it comes to the younger generation, so that we can change some things. TR, peace, what's happening? Phil, peace, what's happening? Jarrell, peace. Miss Naya, peace, what's happening? Man, Dread, I'm trying to tell you. And that's the thing about being young. You know what I'm saying? We was given a lot of game, we was given a lot of jewels, and we was given a lot of nonsense too. But when you 16 to 17, man, you have a hard time deciphering that. You know, that's part of being what they say, young and dumb. You know, even though I hate that term, but that's part of that though. You know, you got some OGs that's gonna come and give you the straight game. But at the time you got the game, you probably wasn't even ready for it. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I went right over your head at the time. And 20 years later, 15 years later, you like, oh, okay, I get it now. Wish I would have listened then. But who's to say if we would have listened at that time that we would have did what we doing with it now? You know what I'm saying? So hey, you got to look at it in that light as well. You know what they say, when a teacher is ready, the student will appear, all that type of stuff. Or when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, all that. However you want to flip it, you know. But man, it was a lot of game that I got at 16, 17. I look back right now today, I'm like, dang, I probably should listen to that. But it was also some things that it was also some things that was told to me back then, and I'm like, I'm glad I didn't listen to that. Glad I didn't listen to such and such, you know. And at the time, man, when you a young boy, that's when the mind is most impressionable, man. So you looking up to these adults, you looking up to your uncles, you looking up to your father or the father figures in your life and your mother. You know, you looking up to the grandparents and things like that, man, because you got an impressionable mind. So you might swallow up anything they tell you. But I was one of the ones, I was inquisitive as a child, man. So I asked a lot of questions, which is again one of the reasons why I always ended up being told that I talk back, all that type of good stuff. You know, because I ask questions. You know, if you just tell me something, I'm gonna kind of need to know why, or I'm gonna kind of need to know why you not doing what it is that you telling me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was genuine. Like literally, I want to know why you not doing it. I'm not asking that to be, you know what I'm saying, to be an a-hole. I'm literally asking, like, why, if you got this same game, why are you not implementing it? What's the problem? You know, so I used to be one of them. Divine focus, peace, what's happening? I used to be one of them, you know, but y'all know how I go when you are a child and you ask questions, that doesn't tend to end well for you, you know, doesn't tend to end well for you at all when you tend to ask questions, especially in regards to certain subjects and topics. You know, and that's another problem too. Shunning a child for asking questions is ridiculous, especially if the premise for your rejection is for them to stay in a child's place or because you said so. Like, nah, that's dead. You supposed to be able to elaborate on everything that you telling these children, man, telling these kids, man. If you telling these kids something and you can't elaborate on it, then you need to stop telling them that. Oh, Will, man, hey, I'm telling you, man, we'll shoot a kid dream, we'll shoot a child's dreams down instantly. I done seen it. I done been the victim of that. I done been the victim of that. You know what I'm saying? You know how it is as a child, man. You got some dreams out here. You got some ambitions and some aspirations. And boy, you tell the wrong adults that, oh, they gonna shoot that down real quick. I'm telling you, man, like when you a child, man, you inquisitive by nature. Like I'm telling you, inquisitive by nature, man, you creative. The creative juices is flowing, your imagination is powerful. The longer you live, the older you get, society destroys that. Society destroys that. Whether it be the school system or whether it be just the adults around you, simply because they didn't have the drive to do these things. Now they gonna shoot you down and tell you why this is a bad idea because they wasn't able to do it. Listen, man, I wish a child would. I mean, I be applauding these children, man. When I see these kids, man, with these business plans at 15, I'm like, man, pursue that. Pursue that. Do that. I'm not finna be mad at them because I wasn't able to put things into motion when I was 15. Like, that's weird. Like, nah, the generation underneath me supposed to be doing it. They supposed to be moving at a faster pace than I did, than we did. They supposed to be doing that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm applauding that. I'm like, I'm encouraging that. Go ahead and do that. Make that move. I ain't finna hate on them and tell them why that's a bad idea. Ain't no money in that. Man, I'm not finna be telling them that. It ain't no money in that. You need to think about doing X, Y, and Z. Whole while I'm seeing that they passionate about it. And again, even if it don't work out, that ain't the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? If they pursue something and it don't work out, so what? Plenty of other things they could do out here. You know what I mean? Delano, peace. What's happening? Sylvetta, peace. Right now, I'm trying to tell you, man, you better be thankful if you got an inquisitive child, man. You better be thankful. They gonna keep you on your, you know what I'm saying? Keep you on your square, keep you on your toes. Better be thankful when they ask you all them questions. That's gonna keep you sharp. You know what I'm saying? As he said. So you better be thankful for that. Be thankful that your child is out here asking questions. Don't shun her for that. Don't shun her for that. That don't even make any sense, but that's what typically happens. That's what typically happens. Folks get mad because they child keep asking them questions and they don't have answers. You only get mad. See, this is the thing, man. You only really get mad when you don't have answers to the questions. Like that's what it is. You get mad because you don't have answers for the questions. If a child is asking you a question and you don't have the answer, that is a learning opportunity for you both. And it's a bonding moment. Like, oh, you asked me a question, I don't know the answer. Let's look it up. Let's research this together. That's a bonding moment, bonding opportunity for you and the child. You know, that's not a time for you to be like, shut up, stop asking me questions. Do as I say, not as I do, all that type of nonsense. Beast by Bless Zone now. Peace. What's at it? So for real. Like for real, man, we gotta stop, man. We gotta stop shunning them, man. You know, and I've been a victim of that. I've seen it. That's one of the things, man, when we talking about unity outside of our relationship dynamic, man, the unification between the elders and the youth. Man, that's a horrible disconnect, man. Horrible disconnect. Horrible that disconnect is horrible. It's very horrible, you know. Every cycle it's the same thing. The younger generation feel like they don't have a voice. The younger generation feeling like the OGs not listening to them. It is the same cycle. So what we gonna do to break that cycle? Every generation, the young bulls like, man, I don't feel like y'all listening to us. We voiceless. We don't have a voice, and they be right and exact because we're not doing anything to change it. We're not doing anything to change it. We just want to criticize the youth, pull their pants up, all this type of stuff. And then when we reach a certain position in life, we turn our noses up at them like we too good to help some of these young brothers and these young sisters because we didn't made something out of ourselves. And I know y'all that came across some of these elders, they didn't made something out of themselves, and now they start acting bougie towards the youth. Man, get out of here with that. Like you ain't come from the same projects, like you ain't come from the same streets as this young brother that's asking you for guidance. And you turning your nose up at them and wonder why they turn into the streets. I done seen it. I done seen that. You approach an OG that then generated some level of success in the corporate realm or whatever, and he turned his nose up at you on some Sambo type of vibes. And as a youth, you like, all right, cool. So now you finna turn to the OGs that's listening to you. You know what I'm saying? Jason, shout out for the cash out. You know, I just seen that, man. So if I get rejected by these uppity Negroes 95% of the time, I'm gonna stop talking to them. I'm gonna start getting my guidance from the music. I'm gonna start getting my guidance from the streets. I'm gonna start getting my guidance from elsewhere. You know, I done tried to talk to the legitimate black men, but they too uppity. They act like they don't. I don't deserve to get their type of advice and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So again, if I keep getting rejected by them, I'm gonna turn my attention elsewhere. That's just how it goes. Ray, I'm telling you, I cannot stand it. And I've seen that way too often. You know, they didn't move into the suburbs and all of this, and young brothers trying to talk to them, and they acting like they didn't come from the same background. You know what I'm saying? They act like they ain't come from the same background. They acting like they ain't moved just like these brothers move. They act like they ain't moved like that back in the day. Like, come on, man. Like, that was you. At 15, 16, 17, that was you. So get that brother some game. Stop acting stingy with it. Stop acting stingy with the game. You ain't do nothing. Tell them what you did. You know, give them hope so they won't have to go slang. You know what I'm saying? To do all of this nonsense. Dread Mike, I'm trying to tell you, man, when I used to work in the bank, I used to have some young bulls come in there opening accounts and whatnot, and I used to talk to them about saving and investing. Some of them listened, some of them didn't, but that's life. I could, just like I talked to OG. Now, this is another thing too. This is where older folks kill me with the young folks don't listen. This is hilarious. When the older population tell me the young folks don't listen, I laugh because I'm like, the older folks don't listen either. Hey man, what older folks don't? If older folks listen, then we would stop. Listen, or the death rate for diabetes, cancer, heart attack, all of these ailments that's plaguing us and killing us. If the older generation listen, we would stop dying of these particular ailments and diseases. But y'all don't listen. Y'all don't listen. You didn't have 2 or 3 strokes, and we done told you the cause of your stroke, and you still want to eat the pork chop. But you say the young folks don't listen though. At some point, you was a young boy that didn't listen, and you became an OG that don't listen. So stop all of that nonsense. When you are an OG and you saying the young generation don't listen, I guarantee you that you don't listen. I got proof of a lot of older folks not listening. You know what I'm saying? I got proof of that. I'm in the field where like it's my job to get people to eat right next, do certain things. And I'm telling you, OGs don't be trying to listen. So I've never understood when older folks say the young generation don't listen like old folks listen. Man, listen. If I'm talking to an OG versus a young bull, I think my chances are higher to get that young bull to listen and implement what I'm saying opposed to that OG. That OG is stuck in their ways. They think they know everything. They think they got life figured out. More than likely, they not about to pay me any attention. So I don't know what y'all be talking about with these young folks don't listen. That don't even be making any sense to me. That's almost equivalent to when men say women don't listen, and I be having a harder time getting men listen. It's like we all don't listen. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody listen. That's a trait that all of us could work on, listening. I'm getting tired of all of these, you know what I'm saying, these groups of folks saying the other group don't listen. Nobody listens. There is not a group, whether it's black men, black women, black OGs, black young bulls, where they predominantly listen. No. Most of these populations within these groups don't listen. And that's a fact. Jay, my brother, peace, what's happening? Antonio, what's happening? Oh, Ronaldo, man, I'm trying to tell you. And that's a good example of that. Man, Divine, I've seen that too. From the woman's perspective. I've seen that. I've definitely seen it. You know, and it's almost Again, I ain't gonna say it's worse on that end, but man, when these women start getting degrees and stuff from these white institutions, boy, you can't talk to them. You can't talk to them if you ain't on that level. Boy, you can't talk to them. You know what I'm saying? They got the sisters with that. Boy, they got the sisters embracing these degrees. That's just as worthless as the dollar bill. You know, so when these sisters start getting several degrees from these white institutions, boy, they think, boy, they untouchable. You can't talk to them. You can't. You can't. So that stuff be hilarious. You know what I'm saying? Like that stuff be hilarious. You got all of these degrees and you barely making anything more than a person that ain't got them. Come on now. LG piece, what's happening? Oh yeah, you say wonder why Liberians get hostile for sure. Skinny piece, what's happening? Landon, what you say? Like, right, Bethune Cookman boycotting, but Ron DeSantis just banned AA studies. And hey, I saw that African American studies got banned. I saw that. I saw that. Man, I got a whole outlook on these HBCUs and all of that. I got a whole outlook on that, man. Whole outlook on that. That might have to be a separate video. And Jay, 100% trying to live, and that's crazy. And that's part of the contradiction. You criticizing the young bulls, but you try to live like them. You know, so again, it's like when they criticizing the young bulls, they really criticizing themselves because they trying to live like them. Man, this is what I say. I let the women have their lane, and I let the young bulls have their lane. I'm not trying to listen to the same music as the young bulls. Like I'm not trying to bump it. Man, it ain't my vibe. Man, I'm on a whole different vibe. I can't be listening to that. I might listen to it to gain an understanding of what they own, but man, I don't be trying to bump their music. I let them have that. You know what I'm saying? Like I let them have that. Yeah, I let them have it. I let them have their lingo. I let them have their clothes. I let them have all that. I let the young bulls have their lane. I may only listen to things or look at things to gain an understanding. But man, I'm not trying to embrace it so I can be like them. No. Just like the women, man. I let the women have their clothes. I let the women have their lingo. I let the women have their slang. I'm an original man. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not emulating the youth. I'm not emulating women. I'm not emulating white folks. I do what I want to do. What they call self-styled wisdom. I move how I want to move. I move in a way that's conducive to my overall health and well-being and my comfortability. That's how I move. That's how the original man moves. I'm not looking at, oh, okay, this is what the youth doing. I need to do that to stay hip. Nope. If I'm not hip, so be it. I'm not gonna be hip. Like straight up. Like that. That's how I move. That's how I've always moved. Man, I ain't too much concerned about all of that. Oh, you ain't hip. Sure not. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be some aspects of my life where I'm not hip, but I'm not trying to be hip. I'm not trying to be in tune with some of these things that these young folks on. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be involved, I should say. Like, nope. Let them have that. That's what they do. That's what the young folks do. I ain't on it. I see what y'all doing. I acknowledge what y'all doing, but I'm not trying to partake in that or indulge in that. Nope. That's for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Some things are just for the young bulls. Just like we got some things that's for us. Just like women got some things that's for them. Like, you know, it's like that. That's what it is. I ain't trying to go in the young folks' lane and dominate their lane. Like, no, I'm good. Jay, for sure. Man, and when I do this, y'all saw my post on the community wall and whatnot. I'm gonna break some things down. Boy, it's some things that I'm learning about, especially on Facebook, you know, about how they moderate the content in favor of some of these groups. Things that we know, but man, when you get some evidence, it be crazy. You know, y'all saw what I had posted. The Kuma piece, what's happening? Y'all saw what I had posted. Stuff get even crazier than that though. But I'm gonna do that presentation, man. But it's real in the field. It's like literally, it's real. Jay, literally what you said, like literally, I got some evidence for them like doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. Like certain posts, like on Facebook, and I'm gonna just give y'all a snippet. So it was written by this dude who was part of a company that Facebook contracted to moderate content. And you know the reason why Facebook is gonna hire a contractor to moderate the content is because it's cheaper. You know, so this dude was breaking down his experiences in regards to working for this company and all of the policies and whatnot that Facebook was hitting them with, and how Facebook was protecting certain interests and protecting certain groups, and how it was a contradiction and it was hypocritical and things like that. And he talked about one of the ones was feminism, you know, and how he brought up a specific name, and I'm gonna break down this name, but how he broke down how this particular woman could bash men, you know, and use certain words on her posts, and Facebook made an exception. But then when the men in return tried to respond and use some of these same words, the post got immediately deleted. You know what I'm saying? Instantly deleted. So Facebook told them to make an exception for this particular group. They can use this language. They can have this type of intent. So we leave a post up for that, make an exception. But then if the group that they talking about responds, delete it. Immediate removal. So this is like legitimately happening, and we got legitimate evidence of it happening. And this is going to show and prove that there is definitely an agenda out here, because I've been unfortunately having to go back and forth with folks in regards to proving or showing and proving this agenda actually exists. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go ahead and do that, you know, for the people that think that there is not an agenda out here to, you know what I'm saying, to shift the public's opinion or perception or perspective towards one way. Towards one way. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is obvious. It was obvious. It should be obvious to me without having to do this type of presentation, but a lot of people don't believe it. You know, but I'm just going to break down how it's happening on Facebook, and y'all can apply it to other platforms. But I'm going to break down how it definitely happened on Facebook, though. Oh, Antonio, man, I'm trying to tell you, mimicking the youth, man, that stuff be giving me a headache when I see it. Like, why? Man, leave them young folks alone, man. Let them have their joints. Let them have their fun, man. Let them have their fun. But yeah, man, it was crazy, some of the stuff that I'm learning. Like, again, it's stuff that you knew, but now I'm getting insider's knowledge in regards to the actual policy and why certain pieces of content are able to be left up. Man, I even read, I'm gonna give y'all an example of something, man. Like, I read something, and it's crazy. Look at this. It say Facebook will allow people to live stream attempts to self-harm because it doesn't want to censor or punish people in distress. Let me read that again. Facebook will allow people to live stream attempts to self-harm because it doesn't want to censor or punish people in distress. Man, what? Did y'all heard that, man? I'll read that a third time, because third time's a charm. Facebook will allow people to live stream attempts to self-harm because it doesn't want to censor or punish people in distress. This the type of information that we coming up with, man. This the type of information. This the type of information. Like, this the type of information that we dealing with, man. Like, this the information that we dealing with. I'm gonna do a whole little presentation. But y'all, excuse me real quick. Let me grab some. But yeah, that's the that's the presentation, man. We gonna be doing some presentation right now. More, I'm trying to tell you, man. Listen, I'm gonna break it down. I don't want to keep giving all the game, but I'm gonna break it down. You know, I'm gonna even break down how because it used a specific rapper that we all know from back from some years ago that got killed. But it was like I learned that part of Facebook's policy around about 2018, 2019 was that if there were videos and images of a person being murdered, if the person was a felon or had a criminal record, Facebook could keep the post up. If the person did not have a record, then Facebook had to delete it. So let's just say, man, if there's a video floating around of your cousin's death or being murdered or whatever, or his lifeless body, if he had a criminal record, then Facebook could allow for that to continue to remain on the platform. If they did not have a criminal record, it automatically has to go down, though. Automatically. It's crazy. It was crazy. Some of the stuff that I was like, what? Crazy. If they had a criminal record, if they was a felon, then videos like that, Facebook could approve it. Facebook would be like, all right, this can stay up. This person has a criminal record. That's the deciding factor. They got a criminal record, therefore a video of their lifeless body, them being assassinated, them being murdered, the after effects of their lifeless body, it can stay up, it can remain. Or even the video of them being murdered or shot or whatever the case may be, it can stay up because this person has a criminal record. Crazy. So sometimes if you see a video that remains posted of a black person that was killed for no reason, if they have any ounce of a criminal record, that's why the video is remaining. That's why the video stays up. That's why it takes a lot for that video to get deleted. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. And I didn't know that. I didn't know it. Like, I didn't know the policy was like that. I'm like, that's crazy. So I say, all right, but I'm gonna break all of that down, man. I'm gonna finish this book, then I'm gonna get this presentation together. I'm gonna break all of that down. We're gonna break all that down. We're gonna break all that down. It's crazy. Yeah, we're gonna break all of that down. And this takes me back to my back to the youthful days some years ago when I had came across all of this information, when I had this rebellious energy, when I was ready to kickstart the revolution. Man, it was the OGs, as I always say, that was like trying to de-escalate that energy at the time. Instead of riding that wave, instead of encouraging me like, man, you know what I'm saying? I wish I had that courage at that age. Boy, they was the main ones telling me I need not post that type of content. I need to watch what I'm saying in these videos. I need to watch what I'm posting on Facebook. Man, that was just lame, fam. Like, that was the wackiest advice I've ever received. And at times I listen to it. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, nah, when you get that, when them young boys come with that rebellious energy, we gotta ride that wave. We gotta ride that wave, man. We can't be trying to diminish that. We can't be trying to put that fire out. We need that energy as black folk. We need it. We need the young boys to possess that energy because we need to reclaim our position on this throne. And in order for us to reclaim that position, we need that energy. But every time the young generation manifest that energy or put that energy into the atmosphere, we got to shut it down. We got to tell them why that's a bad idea. We got to instill fear in them. And if you keep talking like this going to happen to you. You got to stop talking about these white folks on these platforms. You got to learn how to work with these white folks. Work for them during the week and do your stuff as a hobby on the weekends. Man, what type of lame advice is that? How we going to get some power back? You know what I'm saying? How we going to get some power back when that's the advice folks giving folks? Man, I ain't got to accept nothing from these white. These white folks doing something that I don't like, then I'm finna call it. I don't have to accept nothing. I ain't got to learn to deal with the world the way it is just because you did. I might be the one to change it. But nah, people are, you just gotta learn to deal with it. You gotta learn to accept it. Why? Because that's what you did. Because that's what you did. So now now you trying to pacify me. You trying to pacify my message because that's how you were. That's how you moved. Nah. Like, I couldn't stand it. I used to get into it with all them elders because of that. Like, dude, no. Like I got this energy, and I feel like I got this energy for a reason. I don't have this energy to put the fire. I don't have this fire just to put it out. This fire is necessary, man. This fire can spark some change. I ain't got this fire. I'm not coming across this knowledge of myself and my people just to sit on it, just to not say anything about it. Like, come on, man. Like, for real, I'm not, that ain't why I'm coming across this information. You know, but back when I was 18, 19, 20, when I was coming across this information, man, all the elders was trying to instill this fear in me, man, and that I couldn't go. I wasn't going, you know, and I'm still going, you know. Good thing I ain't listening, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still going. Like, they might have got me for like a year or two to where I was really trying to monitor what I was saying, but then, man, it just don't sit well with me. You know, at the end of the day, when you start moving in a way that opposes your true nature, that opposes your essence, man, it's hard to keep moving like that. At least for me, I don't know how to fake it. I can't be doing it. I can't be faking it. I can't keep some of that stuff confined, man. It's got to come out. Like that energy has to come out, or I might become self-destructive out here. So I gotta unleash that energy, that rebellious energy, you know, that revolutionary energy. It's got to come down. It's got to come out. I mean, it has to. The Wacky World TV, man. I'm trying to tell you, facts. Boy, they was trying. I'm telling you, they was trying to threat that, man. They was trying to put all of that fear into me. Oh man, you need to stop reading them books and you need to stop doing this. But when I was in school reading the books that they was giving me, I'm reading Of Mice and Men and all this garbage trash. It was cool then. It was cool when I was reading them little garbage books that serve no purpose. But the moment I started reading Message to the Black Man, the autobiography of Malcolm X, Revolutionary Suicide, Soul on Ice, all of these books, the moment I started reading these, but the autobiography of Assata Shakur, and I'm starting to read all of these books, now all of a sudden reading about to make me go crazy. But when I'm reading Of Mice and Men and all of this, all the other garbage, I can't even remember because I couldn't resonate with it. It was cool. You're like, oh, good job. But the moment I start reading about my own people, now you want to tell me what these books are going to do and how they going to negatively impact me. But when I'm reading all this nonsense up in these schools, you was cool with that, though. That don't make any sense. Goldie, peace, what's happening? Skinny for never dumb it down. And I feel like that, and I honestly feel like that is what people were attempting to do with me. Back when I was coming across this knowledge, man, they was trying to dumb it down because I was coming across things that they wasn't even hip to at the time. You know what I'm saying? And they was trying to shut it down. They was trying to dumb it down. And that's why I had to disconnect from a lot of folks at that particular time, man. I just had to disconnect. I'm like, man, nah, I'm coming across this stuff for a reason. And I wasn't about to let them influence me, man. No. Dread Mike, hey, for sure. I had saw that. You know, at first I had saw that the original article was satire, so it wasn't real, it was a joke. But I feel like it'd be truth in all the jokes. So I feel like that joint really is offensive to that community, at least some people in that community, which is crazy. Which is crazy. We know what it is, though. Dion, 100%. They wanted to shut me up. They wanted to silence me, and it was my own fault. They wanted to silence me. You know, I'm reading Destruction of Black Civilization. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm reading all of these books, and now I'm going crazy. Because I'm studying my history. I'm studying our story. I'm getting the truth. And now you want to be like, okay, now this stuff is getting too real, and you need to simmer down. But when I was smart by school standards, when I was able to memorize the stuff that they taught me in school, everything was good. I'm smart, I'm intelligent. But when I'm memorizing the works of Chancellor Williams, Elijah Muhammad, Marcus Garvey, now I'm a rebel. Now I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm this, that, and the third. That doesn't make any sense, man. That doesn't make any sense to me, but that's how I went. You know, I'm memorizing the words of my folk, Malcolm X, you know, Colin Muhammad, Marcus Garvey, Fred Hampton. Now I'm crazy. When I'm remembering J.K. Rowling and all the, you know what I'm saying? When I'm remembering they joints, I'm smart. I'm wise. I got a bright future ahead of me when I'm remembering things out of the textbooks written by 30 different white people. I'm wise. I got a bright future ahead of me then, but when I'm telling you how to eat to live, now I got a problem. I'm crazy. Interesting. Yeah, Goldie for sure. You know, that the school is a bunch of garbage. It's a bunch of garbage, man. The school system is a bunch of garbage. It trains us how to be slaves. As their prayer said, teach us how to be slaves for white folks and their institutions and how to build up their empires and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, let's be real about the school system, man. A bunch of BS. Like 90% of it. For real. You know what I'm saying? You got some valuable tools that you can extract from it. But for the most part, man, it's a bunch of nonsense, man. And it's all about memorization. Like that ain't how our people got down in regards to teaching. You know what I'm saying? We not about to just give you a bunch of pieces of information and be like you need to memorize these things and that determines your level of intelligence. Like, nah, we was more so worried about your critical thinking abilities opposed to how you could remember something. You know what I'm saying? Because that don't measure anything. Anybody, if you try hard enough, anybody can remember anything. But everybody ain't a critical thinker. You know what I'm saying? It's a big difference there. And that's how our ancestors got down in regards to teaching. It wasn't about memorization. Nah, we gonna break down critical thinking skills. We gonna teach you, hey, we gonna teach you how to think. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how it goes. You know, so it's a lot deeper than that. And that's why I say school is easy because it's just memorize. All you gotta do is memorize things. All you gotta do. All you gotta do is memorize. That's it. You know, ain't got none of that's why you got a lot of people. That's why you got a lot of people that graduate from these institutions that are what they call book smart, but their street intelligence is garbage, or their intelligence in other realms is horrible. Because again, they don't know how to think for themselves. All they know is how to memorize things out of a textbook. That's it. Outside of that, they don't have any critical thinking skills. You know, so when it's not something pertaining to their field, and even in that field, they only know how to memorize what they've been told to memorize, not what's actually right and exact. But when it's anything outside of that field, man, they don't have no clue. They don't have any clue because they don't know how to think. They don't have any critical thinking abilities because that tool is not developed in the schools. And that ain't even conducive to the way that we learn. You know what I'm saying? And that's why a lot of us as kids get misdiagnosed with ADHD and all of that because that is not our style of learning. You know what I'm saying? But again, that's a whole different topic right there. Man, Ray, I'm trying to tell you, and I hate it, and I tell people all the time, I can't stand it, and I always use Elijah Muhammad as an example because his How to Eat to Live is a prime example. How to Eat to Live, he literally told you eat one meal a day and then one meal every other day. That's literally what intermittent fasting is. Now the white doctors gave you this title called intermittent fasting, and now everybody act like this is some new groundbreaking information when we done been gave you this information. But when Elijah Muhammad was telling folks to do that, they was like, oh, they crazy. Man, you will die if you do that. But then when the white doctor go and tell you eat one meal every other day, or they 16-8, they give you all these fancy forms of fasting, or 5 days and 2 days off, you know, or 2 days of fasting, 5 days where you eat. They label it like that, and everybody like, oh, cool. They ain't gonna ask no question. They ain't gonna ask no question. Dr. Sadie be like, mucusless diet healing, talk about that. Just let the white doctor say the same thing. Then everybody finna be like, okay. They go, like, okay. They ain't gonna ask no questions. They're not gonna ask any questions. I'm telling you. Give it another 5-10 years, man. They're gonna start talking to people about, mucusless healing, all the stuff that Dr. Sebi taught. Give it a few years. The white doctor's gonna start inserting that type of information. They already slightly trying to do it, you know what I'm saying? But it's gonna be more mainstream, and then they're gonna take credit for it. They're gonna take credit for it. Just give them some years, they're gonna take credit for that. They're gonna take credit for it. That's what they do. And they're gonna take credit for it. Like brothers ain't been out here telling people that. Disciples of Christ, peace, what's happening? You say you avoid certain people. I lost brain cells after the conversation, for sure. Hey, I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna even lie. Having conversations with some folks is the equivalent of like consuming alcohol, man. It kill your brain cells, man. So you just gotta watch who you communicate with. I'm real adamant about that. I ain't about to be communicating with everybody, man, because I value my brain cells. For sure. Like, for real. Ronaldo, 100%. 100%. They take from more people, remix it, put their own white spin on it, and then phase us out. Phase us out. That's why I cannot stand when I hear people talk about intermittent fasting and don't nobody bring up Elijah Muhammad. Like when black people talk about it, I'm like, man, dude, Ben gave y'all this game. Man, I got people, I'm telling you, I got people be like, man, I eat one meal a day. And then like I'll be giving white folks credit for, man, you know where that came from. I'm gonna give you the black source. If I don't do anything else, I'm gonna give you that black source. We ain't finna keep giving them credit. I don't like that. I ain't never been a fan of that. But that happens quite often, though. That happens quite often. Y'all know how I go. Ray, you say they did that to me at school just because I didn't know some of the white historical artists. They thought they knew more about art, but they didn't know any of the artists I talk about. You know what I'm saying? For real. And that's how I be. When they start talking about they folk and you don't know a few of them, now you lack intelligence. But then when you start mentioning folks on our end who actually created some of these things, these theories, you know what I'm saying, and did the same thing some of these white folks and these Greeks and these Rome, all of them did, and they don't know 90% of them, 95% of them. But you lack intelligence because you don't know the white artists or the white historians. They don't know the black ones. So what that makes them? They don't know the originators. They don't know the originators. But I didn't been there, done that though. I done been there, done that. But y'all, man, with that being said, man, I gotta tap out, for the evening. Gotta handle some business, man. I gotta continue to break down this book so I can do this presentation. Man, I'm trying to get this presentation done by the end of this week. If not the end of this week, definitely early next week for sure. So I really want to break this information down to y'all, man, and share what I have learned. But man, I appreciate y'all tapping into this build, adding on all that good stuff. Appreciate the cash apps, the donations, all the love. It's always peace. I'm gonna let y'all get back to enjoying y'all Wednesday though. Y'all be easy out here. I'm out. Appreciate y'all. Peace.